And David was displeased, because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Perezuzzah to this day. 2 Samuel 6:8. Here we see David's heart stirred when Uzzah laid a hand on the ark of God and was struck down. But notice, the ark is not wood and gold. It is your own divine presence, the Son of God buried in your human frame. Uzzah is your conscious mind, eager, trembling to steady what must be carried by faith alone. In his impulsive reach to touch the divine, he violated the holy boundary. The Lord made a breach upon him, not from anger but from necessity, a crack in the armor of human pride so that you awaken to the true carrier of the ark. David's displeasure is your own soul recoiling from the loss of control. We comfort ourselves, I will grasp the presence by my own effort, only to discover that the Christ within cannot be handled by the flesh. Perezuzzah, the place of breach, marks that moment when ego must break, when you learn that the ark moves only by the unseen breath of spirit, not by human striving. This breach is no accident. It is the initiation of your pre-existent self-awakening. When you cease to clutch and begin to conceive, when you trust the ark to the shoulders of divine imagination, then the breach becomes the gateway. You will carry your God within, not by force, but by reverent assumption. I and my Father are one. Let this spot of rupture remind you that only through the breaking of self-importance can the glorious self emerge. So, when next you feel compelled to clutch at immediate proof, remember Uzzah. Let faith bear the ark. Let imagination reverently cradle the presence. In that very yielding, the breach closes, and you awaken as the one who has never truly left the heavens. Imagine Uzzah as that overly eager, sensory-driven aspect of your mind that insists on steadying or controlling the ark, your living imagination. The moment this restless part reaches out to touch the ark, a breach occurs, a sudden shock or swift correction that jolts Uzzah, your limited self, into vivid awareness of the immutable divine law. In that instant, you witness how the boundary between finite thought and the infinite creative source must remain intact. When David's displeasure rises up, it simply reflects your own inner self recoiling at the violation of this sacred threshold. Through this unfolding, you come to honor the delicate balance between disciplined faith and boundless imagination, allowing divine creativity to flow without interference. Envision the ark as the unmanifest creative your Christ self, which holds within it every possibility. When you prematurely seize a result by sheer force of will, you create a rupture in the energy field, what the mystics call a breach. Yet this breach is not a punishment. It is simply the natural snapback of consciousness reminding you that only in sacred stillness can the ark be carried. In other words, true manifestation arises from a reverent, sustained assumption rather than from frantic mental effort. The story of Uzzah's touch perfectly illustrates this principle. The moment effort replaces peaceful being, the process is disrupted and the flow of divine potential springs back. By leaning into quiet faith instead of impulsive doing, you allow the ark's unmanifest power to become your lived reality. Deep within you lies the very power to cradle the ark in safety, your creative imagination, fertile and alive. When you rest fully in the simple yet profound truth of I am, every impulse naturally harmonizes with the Christ consciousness, guiding your thoughts and actions with grace. In this way, as you learn to trust and abide in that inner divine presence, no breach can occur, and the ark moves forward in perfect peace. When that familiar inner tension begins to rise, or you sense the urgent whisper of I must make this happen, simply pause and acknowledge what Neville called the Uzzah impulse. In that moment, refuse the temptation to force an outcome or touch the ark of your imagination too hastily. Instead, gently shift your awareness into the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, resting in the quiet confidence of I am. Allow yourself to sustain that serene assumption until any crackling of breach energy softens and melts away, giving birth to a seamless manifestation of your desire. As you practice this sacred restraint, you step into the role of David rather than Uzzah, the graceful conductor of divine presence, rather than its overeager overseer. By honoring the arc of your imagination with the deepest reverence, you unlock the hidden power within the verse. What once seemed a cautionary tale transforms into a luminous teaching. Only through a peaceful, sustained assumption of your I am can you carry forth your Christ self and witness true creation spring to life from the stillness of your own being.